If you're looking for a free alternative to Adobe Lightroom that doesn't require a subscription, this video is for you. Today, I'm testing Darktable, the open-source RAW editor that many photographers say can replace Lightroom entirely. Not a feature tour, not a hot take, a real-world workflow test. Import, cull, edit, sync, and export. If Darktable can handle that cleanly, we'll know it's a serious option. In my last video, I showed you how to use Lightroom Classic for free, legally, after canceling your subscription, by keeping the catalog functions and replacing the Develop module with Affinity Photo. That video did really well, but the comment section quickly split into camps. One group was just happy to stop paying Adobe a monthly fee, but another, a very passionate group, said, why not just switch to Darktable? So that's what this video is about. And I'll be honest, I tried Darktable years ago when I was first thinking about canceling my Adobe subscription. My initial reaction? I really didn't like it. It felt totally foreign compared to Lightroom. And honestly, that was probably unfair on my part. I didn't read the manual. I didn't invest the time. I just bounced off of it. But looking back, now I can see exactly why. And I think the same three things trip up most Lightroom users who give Darktable a quick look. First, the sheer number of modules is overwhelming. Open Darktable for the first time, and the right panel looks like a flight deck. Dozens of processing modules, many with unfamiliar names. It's genuinely hard to know where to start. Second, Darktable uses terminology that is technically correct, but this comes at the expense of it being understandable. The controls are exhaustive. And finally, I was treating Darktable like a Lightroom clone. It isn't. Trying to force it to behave like Lightroom is the fastest route to frustration. So this time around, I want to approach it differently. To help me stay on track, I created a structured workflow guide, link in the description. It addresses all three of these frustrations head on. And today, we're going to use it to put Darktable through its paces. The test images are the same air-to-air photos from my Pipistrel Velos Electro electric aircraft shoot, keeping this channel's aviation theme alive and giving me some images I know well. I originally edited this shoot in Lightroom Classic about a year ago. The edits were good enough that one of the photos made the cover of Canadian Aviator magazine, and a number of others were used to illustrate the feature article. If Darktable can take me from RAW files to finished JPEGs efficiently with the same level of publication-ready quality, I'll know it's a serious Lightroom contender. First, we need to get Darktable onto our computer. Head to darktable.org and click Install. If you're on an Apple Silicon Mac, M1 or M5 or whatever, download the ARM64 version. Users with older Intel Macs want x86. There's a hidden tooltip confirming which is which, but honestly, this should be spelled out on the web page. Download the DMG, open it, drag Darktable to Applications, standard stuff. Now, will macOS block it? Yes, it will. Right-clicking and choosing Open doesn't work either. You need the terminal fix. It's in my workflow guide, step by step. Copy one command from the installation notes, paste it into terminal, press return, done. To be fair, this is more of an Apple security issue than a Darktable problem, but it's one more stumbling block for a new user starting out. It's like a new friend inviting you over for dinner, but they lock their front door and force you to climb in through a window, like you're robbing the place. Anyway, allow Darktable to find devices on your local network, and finally, we're in. We land in the Light table, Darktable's equivalent of Lightroom's library module. No photos have been imported yet, so we're greeted with a wall of help text on a gray background. Before we import anything, I want to tune the environment. Not to make Darktable pretend to be Lightroom, but to make my existing muscle memory more useful. All of these settings are in the Global Preferences, the gear icon at the top. Under General, change the theme to Darktable Icons Darker. This gives us a dark UI, much closer to what we're used to in Lightroom. Under Import, keep original file names, just a preference of mine. Under Light Table, enable smooth scrolling for thumbnails, essential if you're on a trackpad like I am. Under Processing, this one matters. Change the pixel workflow to scene-referred AGX. This sets up the modern pixel processing pipeline we'll use throughout this test. Also, enable OpenCL if your machine supports it. It offloads processing to the GPU, which really speeds up performance. Under Miscellaneous, enable mouse wheel scrolls module side panel by default. Also convenient if you're using a trackpad. Under Shortcuts, you can modify keyboard shortcuts. Handy if you want to more closely emulate Lightroom keystrokes. To save time, I won't adjust those here, but just know that this option exists. Close Preferences. The good news, Darktable already uses keys 0 through 5 for star ratings, which work exactly like Lightroom. No changes needed. But I also want to map keys 6 through 9 to apply color labels, just like Lightroom. I'm going to use the keyboard icon to enter mapping mode. Hover over each of the color labels at the bottom of the screen. Then press the number key you want to assign. Red, 6, yellow, 7, green, 8, blue, 9. Now, Darktable doesn't have the equivalent of Lightroom's Quick Collection, the one you add photos to with the B key. So we need to invent one. Hover over purple, press B. From now on, the purple color label is our Darktable Quick Collection stand-in. Click the keyboard icon again to exit. By the way, you can hold the H key at any point to see the full shortcut list. One last thing, click the star icon and select Permanent Extended Overlays for thumbnail ratings. So that's the environment tuned. Let's go import some photos. I'm importing over 1,200 RAW files from my electric aircraft shoot. They're already on my external SSD, so I'm not copying them, just adding them. And watch this. The thumbnail generation speed is impressive. For a free application, that's genuinely good. By the way, double-clicking an image does not open the loop view like it does in Lightroom. Instead, it opens the entire Darkroom editor. So don't double-click, at least not yet. Instead, for culling, press the F key to toggle on and off the full view while staying in the light table. Use the arrow keys to move through your images. Just like in Lightroom, you can apply star ratings, color labels, and when I find a strong candidate, I can now press B to add it to my quick collection. You reject an image using the R key instead of X. In Darktable, the X key toggles side-by-side comparisons, similar to the Lightroom survey view.
A few moments later.
Okay, I've made my way through all my 1,200 images. I've tagged my selects as purple. I can view just those images by filtering purple at the top of the screen. The culling workflow feels very close to Lightroom, different in places, but adaptable. I'll call that a pass. By the way, there's no quick develop panel, so double-click or press D to get into the Darkroom module. Zoom is controlled by the very tiny drop-down on the left, or the keyboard shortcuts Option 1 to zoom in, Option 2 for fill, and Option 3 for fit. Your mouse and trackpad also work for zooming. Details are in my workflow guide. I'm also going to set the histogram to something more familiar. Okay, now we need to address the elephant in the room, or maybe the dozens and dozens of elephants. The module panel on the right. This is where most Lightroom users stop, and I understand why. Look at all those modules, some with totally unfamiliar names. But here's the trick I wish someone had told me when I first tried Darktable. Cull the module list before you even try to edit an image. Create a custom preset, name it, and add only what you need. My suggested module list is in the workflow guide. I'll quickly select them here, close the window, and look at that, a manageable right panel. Before I get into the edits, a note on approach. My goal here is not to describe each module and why I selected it. That's what the workflow guide is for. What I want to show you is my overall workflow and a few moments where Darktable genuinely surprised me. These images are sunny daylight shots, well exposed, no tricky backlighting, a clear winter sky. They're a great starter set for a beginner workflow. First, let's set the overall exposure in the exposure module. Click the picker icon, draw a selection over a mid-tone area. Darktable calculates and applies the correction. Now, the tone mapper. This is where Darktable externalizes something Lightroom doesn't, a dedicated tone mapping step that controls how the wide dynamic range of the raw file gets compressed into something your screen can display. AGX is the newest Darktable tone mapper. Click the eyedropper. Darktable reads the image and sets the white and black points. Next, let's set the white balance. In true Darktable fashion, you adjust the white balance in a module called color calibration. Didn't see that one coming, did you? There's a good reason for it, but I won't go into it here. For a sunny daylight shot like this, go to the Cat tab and select D, Daylight, from the Illuminant dropdown. One setting, done. Ready for another odd module name? The Color Balance RGB module is one of Darktable's genuine strengths. It handles saturation, vibrance, contrast, and color grading all in one place. The first time I saw the sheer number of sliders, it totally freaked me out. So this is a good time to show you something called a module preset. See the hamburger icon on the module header? That's the presets menu. Most modules have built-in starting points. I'll select Vibrant Colors under the Basic Colorfulness preset. If you want more control, you can adjust the global vibrance or the saturation in the shadows, midtones, and highlights independently. Now, a little local contrast to add depth to the aircraft surfaces. Even on this crystal clear day, the atmosphere between the electric aircraft and the distant peaks washed out detail. The haze removal module handles this beautifully. Play with the strength and distance sliders. Stop when the mountains feel present without looking crunchy. Now we can add a tiny bit of sharpening. The best way to do this in Darktable is to enable the Capture Sharpen checkbox in the Demosaic module. Next, I'm going to turn on a few technical corrections. Chromatic aberration, lens corrections, and denoise. Before we do anything else, we'll save these edits as a style, the Darktable equivalent of a Lightroom preset. Open the History panel, scroll to the bottom, click Compress History Stack. Then click the little button to the right to save as a style. Give it a name. Select the modules. Click Save. The History panel is also a good way to view before and after. Click the bottom entry and then the top entry to toggle between them. Now, let's apply that style to our other selects. Double-click to return to the light table. Select one or more images. Open the Styles panel. Then double-click the style we just created. Each image now shares the same base edit. You can also use Command-C and Command-V to copy and paste edits. Details are in the workflow guide. At this point, I'd normally go get a coffee.
One eternity later.
From here, I'll go image by image, fixing issues unique to each frame. This is work I deliberately left out of the style because it wouldn't make sense to paste it across the whole shoot. Back into the darkroom. Let's fix the horizon using rotate and perspective. You can use the slider or right-click and drag along the horizon to level it. Let's add a light graduated filter on the sky. Darken it slightly and add just a hint of blue tint. Position it so the gradient isn't darkening the aircraft. The Retouch module can clone out sensor dust. Select the shape, click the dust spot, drag the source and target. The Heal algorithm works beautifully, actually better against the sky than Lightroom's equivalent. I always do my cropping last. Until you know the final delivery format, print, web, or social media, the aspect ratio is still an open question. The crop module works exactly as you'd expect. Drag the handles, choose an aspect ratio, or go freehand. Close the module to confirm. Now let's export our edited images. Back over to the light table view. Expand the Export tab on the right. Select File on Disk, JPEG 8-bit, Quality 100, Profile, sRGB, WebSafe. Click Start Export. Darktable processes the queue and writes the files. And that's it. We accomplished our goals. Import, cull, rate, organize selects, edit a hero image, sync edits, image-specific edits, and finally, export. The full workflow, start to finish. If you want to follow this same workflow with your own images, grab the workflow guide in the video description. It's a great way to try out Darktable and avoid getting lost and frustrated. So, I've finished my structured walkthrough. Now let me tell you what I discovered. Because the real question was never, can Darktable do the job? It was, how does using it make you feel? Let's talk about that. First, the module problem. Solved, but only if you know the trick. The overwhelm is real. Out of the box, the module panel is daunting. But once you trim the list to the modules you actually need, the workspace becomes clean, logical, and manageable. The real problem is that nobody tells you to fix the module list first. That's what my workflow guide tries to solve. Deal with the module list before you even try to edit a single image. Second, the technical language. Yes, Darktable uses scientific terminology, a lot of it. But here's what I learned. You don't need to understand the theory to use the tools. Select daylight. Click an eyedropper to set exposure. Click another one to auto-tune levels. Those are the actual actions you take. The theory is there if you want it, but you can certainly choose to ignore it. Finally, the Lightroom problem. Stop fighting it. Darktable is not a Lightroom clone. The sooner you accept that, the better your experience. And here's the thing that surprised me. Some things in Darktable are genuinely better. Every module can have its own mask, not just brushes or gradients, every module. That means local adjustments aren't a special mode. They're just part of every tool. The haze removal module is excellent. For aerial work, it's outstanding. And the retouch heal algorithm produces cleaner skies than Lightroom's equivalent. Those aren't consolation prizes, those are real advantages. Now, let's talk about what's still really rough. The Mac install experience is poor. The terminal workaround is a barrier. The first run experience needs work. A blank gray screen is not welcoming, and some naming decisions are just really odd. The white balance module that isn't where you're supposed to set white balance, terms like sigmoid, AGX, illuminant, Cat16, and the list goes on. Eventually, you learn some of these terms, but they create so much friction for new users. Ignoring them and concentrating on the tiny subset of controls was my key to avoiding frustration. So, was I right years ago when I first looked at Darktable and totally hated it? No, I gave up too quickly, and I came in with the wrong mental model. Darktable is a serious, capable, genuinely free RAW editor. It does have a steeper learning curve than Lightroom, but that curve is surmountable. Is it a Lightroom replacement? For my workflow, yes, with some investment up front. For someone else who wants to open an app and start editing instantly, no way. But with my workflow guide, my keyboard shortcut remapping, my custom module preset, and a clearer understanding of what Darktable is and isn't, yeah, it can get the job done. Look, I've been using Lightroom since it was first released in beta over 20 years ago. I genuinely love the software, and I was more than happy to pay the original monthly fee when the Creative Cloud version first launched. But over the last few years, Adobe has raised prices aggressively. The competitive landscape has changed. Replacing Adobe products can easily save you hundreds of dollars a year. And more importantly, it lets you take back control. If this video helped you do that, hit like and subscribe so more photographers can find this workflow. Thanks for watching. Oh, and if you have thoughts on Darktable, positive or negative, I'd genuinely love to hear them in the comments, especially from people who've been using it for a while. Tell me what I'm missing. As I've already mentioned a million times, the workflow guide link is in the description. Free download. It covers everything I showed you today, plus a full module reference, a Lightroom mapping table, and all the steps in detail. If you're thinking about making the switch from Lightroom, start there.